Walk-Ons in God's country, just across the Mississippi River Bridge from downtown Baton Rouge, a little 5-minute drive up the road on Highway 1 to Brusly, and we are right here at the gorgeous Brusly Walk-Ons. Will be here until noon today. For those that have tuned in to Sports Shorts Radio for many, many years, you will not be surprised to know that, no, we do not have Buzzy Hideout with us, even though we are about 10 long toss throws from his house. So he will not be with us on vacation or something much more important. Joel Davis is fundraising, saving the world, helping out all these schools survive the COVID. He'll be back with us on next week when we get full bore into football, as next week college football starts. LSU doesn't play till the 4th, but next week is Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame week. It's induction Saturday, and it'll be a lot of college football talk. But today, TK and I will bring it all around the world of sports and talk a lot of different stuff. And Tommy, I know for an old baseball guy with a lot on the docket today, the NOLA Brothers showdown is one that you're going to be DVRing or watching, right? Yeah, well, Austin was in the lineup last night as a catcher. He had been platooned. I would hope the manager, Jace Tingler, puts him in there tonight with Aaron. I would think it happens. They haven't posted the lineup yet. I'll check that. I have an app that I can check that on, but it's happened about 10 or 12 times in Major League Baseball where a brother pitched to a brother batting, and in all likelihood happens again tonight with Aaron Nola and his older brother Austin Nola. I know there's a lot of the families out there in San Diego where they're playing the Phillies. 7:40 Louisiana time start. If you want to try to check that out or listen to the game or whatever, should be really cool, really interesting. Because it is very rare that this occurs in baseball. And hey, it's great for Catholic High, it's great for LSU, it's great for Baton Rouge and Louisiana. Just it's really cool. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm one of those guys that dreamed of being a major leaguer, never came close. But here's two brothers that probably dreamed of that in the backyard and out the front yard or whatever. And here they are going to, in all likelihood, Aaron going to have to pitch to Austin. I think he starts him with a fastball up. Well, the thing that's not in, but up. The thing that's so impressive is that if you know the NOLA family, it's a great family, and these guys are both super humble. Aaron Nola is kind of almost like a little country boy, right? Well, he'd rather go fishing than sit here with us. That kind of thing, and Austin is a little more outgoing, a little more conversational and chatty. Typical big brother, but they both. Just come from good people. Aaron Nola, for my money, I mean, Ben McDonald gets the title as greatest LSU player, pitcher / player, or maybe even more most important athlete in LSU baseball history. Probably more of a better title for him. And Skip Bertman's really the one that did that, right? He gave him that. He even said it in the documentary. Well, Ben did win the Golden Spikes. Right. He was 1-1. He was the first pick in the first round. And won a gold medal in the Olympics in '88. Big man. Didn't win a national championship. Kind of had an unbelievable team. But the thing about it is that whenever you're the first, whenever you're breaking barriers or doing something no one's ever done before, particularly in the early days of that LSU baseball program. I mean, the first, Skip Bertman's first year was 84. And so you're talking about Ben pitched 87, 89. So he was in the first infancy, the first 5 years or so of that program. And so that's why he meant so much. If a Ben McDonald came along now, it wouldn't have the same fanfare that it did in the 80s from a standpoint of there's been plenty of great players in the last 30 years, 40 years of LSU baseball, many first-round picks and that sort of thing. So he would be, he'd be up there on the wall and be up there as far as an iconic player. But when he was the first to do it, there was nobody that had won a gold medal in the Olympics. Nobody had won the Golden Spike. Still haven't won the Golden Spike. Nobody's been the first pick still. Been a couple second picks, but not first. So, but for me, if I've got to pick one guy to pitch at LSU, it's Aaron Nola. If I've got a season, it's tough. Lloyd Peaver had the greatest season anyone's ever had for LSU. He only played 1 year, was a JUCO pitcher in '92, and he was 14-0 with an ERA under 2. Okay, didn't walk a guy till I think inning 47 or something like that. It was unbelievable. But so Lloyd Beaver had the greatest season, just like Brandon Larson had the greatest season offensively, 40 homers and about a 370 average. But for a career, and I think you take those guys, Brandon Larson and Lloyd Beaver, who literally JUCO players who had the greatest individual seasons ever, and you put them in a separate category. When you take about a guy that's played at LSU for 2-3 years, 2 to 4 years, a career, I think Aaron Nola is the best pitcher for my money.
Boy, that's close. Yeah, I think he's going to edge out Big Ben, but I don't know. If you take Nola, I'll take McDonald. There might be a lot of goose eggs on the scoreboard. Let it spread off. I mean, I'm really torn between those two. And usually I can make a decision and pinpoint, but wow.
One thing about Ben McDonald, people forget, he also played basketball at LSU.
Right.
He was an all-district punter of the Denham Springs High School football team. So this guy was quite the athlete. I'm sure he played tennis. He's a very good golfer. I have played golf with him.
He was a good hitter, but Skip was not a coach who wanted to mess with his pitchers as hitters. Ben and many other guys, including myself, played at LSU. Felt like we're pretty good hitters, could have hit in college, and Skip just wasn't having any of it.
What fall? I think the fall of '81. Our coach tells us, we played 40 games in the fall back then. He said,
All right, all pitchers are going to hit during the fall, and if you're any good, we're going to let you hit or DH in the spring. So we all hit during the fall, and there was one guy who should have hit in the spring, but the coach didn't let him do it. It's about what you do, not what you say, remember?
Funny story about hitting in the fall. After my second year at LSU, I go up to the Cape Cod. I play up there for Rich Hill, who is actually Jay Johnson's mentor. Rich is currently the head coach at Hawaii. He was at San Diego, where Jay Johnson worked under Rich. And he was our coach, and we win the Cape Cod League Championship. Well, all summer, I played with Mike Neal and Harry Barrios. And all summer, I'd hit in the cage with them. We got nothing else to do other than we worked 3 days a week at a little sandwich shop and played baseball, a lot of free time. So, and they were hitting on the tee or hitting in the cage, taking BP, I would do it too. And it's wood bat league. And we come back from the fall, and, I think Mike lobbied to Skip, like, Coach, man, you got to let Ronnie hit. I mean, he can really hit. He might be able to help us. And so Skip goes, all right, let him hit in the fall. Let him try out, or let him hit in the fall a few weeks or something, see how it goes. Well, Smoke didn't want to have any of it. He was pissed that Skip told him put Rantz in the hit groups, so he was going to show me, right? And if you're a novice hitter, if you're somebody who all you've done is take batting practice in the tunnel or the cages, or maybe you're on the field and the guy says, all right, here's 3 curveballs. Okay, here's a changeup. When you hear the word off center screen, okay, for what that is if you're standing there at home plate and you're in the batter's box, and normally the pitcher's on the mound or right in front of the mound with one of those L screens throwing BP. Imagine taking that screen and moving it to a 45-degree angle between the pitcher's mound and first base, like where the second baseman would be, right? Or moving it where the shortstop would be. And that's called the off-center screen. And it's a drill that everybody struggles with. Even veterans.
Tony Gwynn would struggle with
the first few times, right? It takes a little getting used to. And so Smoke one, so I get thrown into an off-center screen hitting drill, which of course I look like an idiot. And I did that for 2 days. And he never let me hit normal. He let me hit off the tee, but he always threw me in the off-center screen. Of course, I looked like an idiot, and then he was able to convince Skip, I don't think he's got what it takes to hit. So thank you for that, Smoke.
Yeah. Well, when we were hitting that fall, I mean, before we knew what launch angle was, we were just all trying to launch it out of the park, figuring, hey, if I, hit a couple of big flies, maybe I'll get the hitting spray, but it didn't work.
Carl Dunn saying the matchup, talking about Aaron Nola, the matchup versus Sonny Gray was epic. Remember, Sonny Gray pitched for Oklahoma.
Right.
That was a regional or super regional, I can't remember.
Regional, I believe.
And Sonny Gray was, 100 miles an hour in college. They both, it was just a great
box for that.
Great game. LSU wound up winning late in that one. We're over here at the Brusly Walk-Ons. Ronnie Rantz alongside TK Tommy Krysan. TK will be joining us throughout the year, doing the second hour. Many days they'll be doing, the full show with us. But we're excited for football season. We'll be doing a couple of shows a month at LeBear's Casino inside the Stadium Sports Bar over there. We'll be doing, of course, our shows over at Calandro's Supermarket the first Saturday of the month, and many other locations. So looking forward to that. Yeah, it was super regional. Carl said that Oklahoma showdown with Sonny Gray. I want to say Dunham, catcher, first baseman, had the big hit.
Jeremy Moore.
Not Jeremy Moore, but Tyler Moore.
Tyler.
Moore. I believe it was Tyler Moore had the big hit, right?
In the right center.
In the right center,
Yeah.
late to win that game. LSU today, 3:30 scrimmage. This is the last one before the real bullets on the 4th.
And I think there's a lot of objectives that the coaching staff wants to see. The offensive line coach, called them out after the last scrimmage last Saturday, a week ago. He wants to see improvement there. I don't think Staley's going to play today. Hopefully he gets on the practice field next week. But they had to go with a couple of walk-ons at quarterback last week. So there's some things going to try to
accomplish, I'm sure. And, he talked about the running back. It's time for them to, pick it up. And somebody step forward, a couple guys step forward. So I'm sure they got a list of things they want to see in the scrimmage today. And just so people know that aren't familiar with it, these scrimmages, it's not like playing a game where they're going to get the ball on the 20. They work on first down, or they work on red zone, or they work on third and long. I mean, it's situational type stuff, where they just can go over and over. Like, what are we going to do on 3rd and 11? We're behind the chains. 3rd and 11, run 10 plays like that. Then they'll get down, goal line offense. What are we going to do? So it looks very different than a football game, but the coaches have things they're trying to find out, things they're trying to make sure these kids understand and do. So they got to call it on a Saturday, 2 weeks from today, Ronnie. How about that? 2 weeks, LSU at UCLA. And UCLA plays next Saturday, 2:30 or 3:30 in the afternoon at home against Hawaii. They're a 17-point favorite. Do you Tiger fans will want to get a peek at the Bruins? You can do it this coming Saturday afternoon. Check the local listings, but the Bruins will take on Hawaii.
And look, if you feel strongly about that line, lock it in before the Hawaii game. It won't change, regardless of what happens in the Hawaii game.
You mean LSU?
Yeah, I'm saying right now LSU's a 4-point favorite, and the over/under I think last we saw was 70.5. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you like that point spread, either one of those, lock it in before the Hawaii game, because once that game is over, those lines are going to move one way or the other. Chances are, if UCLA struggles at all with Hawaii, then that line is going to get bigger for LSU. So if you think LSU is going to beat UCLA by a touchdown or more, you might want to take that 4 while you can, because I don't think it's going to get less.
I think you should take it today. That's what
Yeah.
you believe.
Yeah.
Lock it in and balance that Sunday.
By the way, LeBear's Casino is going to be having sports betting. Probably going to open it up around the end of September sometime, like to where you're going to be able to, there'll be a window on the busy days, on the weekends and stuff like that, with a physical person where you can go up to the window and place your bets just like you would in Vegas or something. They'll also will have some kiosks, like an ATM machine type of deal, which is pretty cool. Where you do that anytime, 24/7, and you can bet on, obviously any kind of sport, not just football.
I got a really big announcement next week. That's all I can say today.
Big announcement next week for those who like to bet. Okay, so the oldest guy in TikTok is gonna,
TikTok, I got 2 winners today, but it's much bigger than that.
All right, why don't you give? We're gonna take a break. When we come back, give one winner this hour and then one winner next hour.
Okay.
All right. So for those gamblers out there, TK, the oldest guy on TikTok, is going to give you 2 picks today. He gave you one win return. But over here at the Walk-Ons in Brusly, a lot going on this weekend. The Saints are in action on Monday. LSU today at 3:30. Last time they're scrimmaging in Tiger Stadium. Let's see if the offensive line can do a little bit better, because of the reports have been that the defensive line's been more dominant. And so we'll see how that gets turned around today. Some news: Oregon and Oregon State, first Power 5 schools to require vaccines. And I imagine they're going to be the first of many that are going to require vaccines. But not a surprise that it comes from the state of Oregon. But that said, we'll get into that whole discussion and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. Sports Shorts will continue from the Brusly Walk-Ons right after this. Welcome back, everyone. The Sports Shorts Radio presented by LeBear's Casino. Ronnie Rantz alongside TK Tommy Krysan. We're over here at the Brusly Walk-Ons, just right across the street, just a light down from the high school. Probably 5 minutes as the crow flies. Once you get over the Mississippi River Bridge, you know, right there at the base of the bridge, 5 minutes up Highway 1, and it's one of my favorite walk-ons. They have cornhole leagues every other Monday here. I mean, if you're an individual cornhole player, you can just come up, sign up. They'll throw you in, you know, pair you with some people. If you have a team, come on as well. I mean, when the weather's good, they do it on the patio, the covered patio over here outside. They get lots of teams, lots of fun. I mean, it might be sometimes there's 50 people out here, you know, playing cornhole on a Monday night, and especially during football season, Monday Night Football, good place to come watch the games, eat some great dinner at Brusly Walk-Ons, and if you're into cornhole, which is growing more and more. I was up at in Natchitoches, TK, at Cane River Brewing Company, a local brewery that's up there, opened about 2 years ago. and they have cornhole competitions, you know, once a week, and then they've got like a league thing that's around the state, and they've come out there and he's like sometimes we've got 150 people, you know, a Saturday morning type of thing. I mean, it's gotten serious.
It's like a lifetime sport. You could be 5 years old and play. You could be 85 years old and play. So you know, hey, it's competing, having fun. I'm sure you've had a few beers or whatever. It's all good.
So we're gonna we've had a request for the breakfast sandwich review, and I got to be honest with you, it's kind of popped in and out, and I'll give a review. It's not. Is a kolache a sandwich?
I don't know.
It's kind of like, is a hot dog is that considered a sandwich? A hot dog?
That's a big debate. Some people say.
I mean, it's a piece of bread. It's two pieces of bread and meat in the middle.
Sandwich is like, you know, bread, ham, mayonnaise, bread.
I mean, like, you know, pastrami's a sandwich, lunch and meat, bologna, it's all a sandwich. So why is it a hot dog? Just because of a different kind of meat? Why is that? I mean,
it's a hot dog, hamburger, is a hamburger.
But do you have to eat the hot? I mean, I've eaten a hot dog on po' boy bread. I've eaten a hot dog at on toast. I mean, you know, so in my mind, a hot dog is a sandwich. I mean, it's no different. You know, I mean. A hamburger is a hamburger a sandwich?
I mean, you know, these are important questions.
Yeah. So my point is that I had a kolache. My point is that I want to be totally transparent when I give this report, breakfast sandwich review / kolache review / hot dog / hamburger, whatever. So there's a Shipley Donuts on Essen Lane in Baton Rouge. Right there, before you go to the train tracks, where you know Red Stick Sports is. Right. So, growing up, when I lived between end of 7th grade and the senior year in high school at Menard High up in Alexandria, there was a Shipley Donuts on Jackson Street. Okay, man, it changed my life when I discovered Shipley Donuts. It had the chocolate-filled donuts. And the great thing about Shipley Donuts is they're not gigantic. They're not really big donuts. They're kind of
so you can eat like
well, true. But the thing I remember about the Shipley Donuts in Alexandria growing up was that they always had a lot of filling. You know, the cream filling was good, and it was a lot of it. You know, I hate when you go. I mean, how many times I've done this because I'm a cream filling guy or whatever. A lot of times I've gotten a donut. There's no filling in it. Sometimes they forget. You know, they think they put that donut on the rack. Somebody forgot to put the tube in there to give the squirt, or you know, it's the half a squirt tube guy. Like, what is that? You know, you open it up, it's all breading, and there's like a drip of lemon meringue or something on the inside. Anyway, so. They had the chocolate donuts at Shipley Donuts, which unbelievable. It's my favorite. Well, they opened a Shipley on Essen a few months ago here in Baton Rouge. So I go through the drive-through and I decide not only am I going to get a chocolate donut, but I'm also going to get a kolache. And I always get the sausage with cheese and jalapeno. And if it's got too much jalapeno, I'll take a little of the jalapeno out because I don't want to die eating it. I just want a little flavor. Sometimes you get in that whole, they put like a whole jalapeno in there. And I have to say, and I'm not a giant kolache fan. Like, I like it, but I mean, it's got to be really, really good. I would say that the sausage, egg, and cheese kolache at the Shipley Donuts on Essen Lane in Baton Rouge, which has a drive-through if you don't want to go in, I would put the kolache on a scale of 1 to 10. A solid 7.1, which for me is a high rating because I've never ever had a 9 kolache in my life. So 7.1. I will put the chocolate cream donut over there as a solid 8.5. Although I have to be transparent, you know, when I do the reviews, TK, I'm very honest. They didn't have a lot of chocolate cream. Whoever's doing the pumping at the Shipley's on Essen and Baton Rouge.
Let's kick it up a notch.
I mean, is it their cream? You know what I mean? Like, if you work at the Shipley's, do you own the Shipley's? I mean, why are we being skimpy with the cream? Like, let's pump it up with that chocolate cream. And it was a little underwhelming. The donut itself was great. I could have used an extra squirt.
Well, see, when they put a lot of cream in there, they got to give you extra napkins, and that costs more.
That is true with everything that's going on right now. But But anyway, so 7.1 in the Colossi review. So those that are wondering, it's not, is it a sandwich or not? I don't know. You have to make the call on that.
Well, the people been on Twitter and asking for weeks for the breakfast sandwich producer. You finally come through. You're like buzzing. You finally came through.
I think I'm a little.
Last week?
He did. He showed up, and we'll see Buzz probably very sparingly.
I could probably hit what his house would get. I could hit like a 3-iron and wedge and get there.
No, a little more than that. A little more than that.
Driver,
7-iron wedge. Driver 7. Okay, all right.
He's 2K and Ronnie Rantz. All right, here we go. We're over at the Brusly Walk-Ons. Saints in action. What are you looking forward to the most on Monday night? It's their first home game. Besides the fact that you got to get to the stadium a little bit earlier because you got to make sure you mask and show your card. What are you looking forward to?
Show your test that you
By the way, so easy to just make a fake, right?
Well, there's a huge black market. Now, you had a bunch of people arrested somewhere. I think it was up in Memphis or somewhere. A bunch of people were arrested for making fake vaccine cards and selling, for whatever they were selling for. So, but you knew that was going to happen.
It's just gonna be interesting to see how that unfolds because the game is 7 o'clock Monday night. They're telling people to get to. Normally the Dome doesn't open to what, 2 hours before kickoff. I know Major League Baseball parks are open 2 hours before first pitch. Football might be less than 2. It might be 90 minutes.
It's 2 because I remember from.
Okay, so you got that. So 5 o'clock you got to get to the Dome on Monday to get it. Because the first time it's not going to go as smooth as it does the 4th, 5th, 6th time they're doing this. So
the question I have is just a regular gate worker at the Saints game is going to be checking?
I don't know.
Like, is it just a regular, $10 an hour worker who probably could give 2 rats, what?
Well, but that's an interesting question. Or do you have to show it before you go in? Because most people have the ticket on their phone now.
Right.
And you just go beep. And like I have my vaccination card on LA Wallet. You go beep, and it'll show you that I'm vaccinated. So, it may go quicker than I think. If they go beep beep, then you're in. Double beep like the road runner. Beep beep.
Well, I don't know what the deal is on that, but I'm really curious to see the Saints. Of course, it was a big week because the Saints initially came out and said they were not going to give any refunds to fans this year because look, there are a segment of fans that don't want to go to the game if they A, have to wear a mask, and B, if they have, and then on top of that, the whole vaccine debate and card debate. So there were fans that wanted their money back. The Saints initially came out and said, no, we're not going to do that because we are able to be full capacity with masks. That's the only restriction. So therefore, we don't want to, and I don't blame the Saints. They took a bath last year, right? So they don't want to give the money back. Well, it got political. There was some pressure put on the Saints in the media politically by the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana, and now they reversed course. Now, the way the Saints are spinning it is that, well, it was only about 150 people that wanted a refund, so no big deal. If that number's to be believed.
Well, it was reported 140, 150, but then it was followed up on the report that said 1,000 people called and said, hey, I'll take
the tickets that somebody turns in.
Right.
So they did the math and said, hey, no problem giving a refund. We'll be able to sell these tickets. Now the people could have went secondary market with it, with SeatGeek or whatever you wanted to use.
I don't think this is the year to go secondary market for the Saints because I don't expect the Saints to be good. I think they're going to have a losing record. And, the problem with the secondary market is that, as the season goes on and that you don't have a good team, then those tickets are worth, crap. The tickets are worth what they are right now. The minute they play a game and lose, the value starts to go down.
They open with the Packers.
There's an 0-1. They're 0-1.
And they play the Panthers.
That's a maybe. I mean, it's at home, so I would. Oh, the second game is on the road. No. They do. That's right. They play Carolina the weekend that LSU plays Mississippi State. It's on the road. So yeah, I don't know.
Start feeling the law, Carolina. I think people are going to start.
I've never been to a Carolina Panthers game. Yeah, I've never been. Charlotte's a great city. I know that. I've been there. But there just isn't, I've been to Saints Tampa. I've been to Saints Falcons. The Saints Falcons is clearly the best, right? You know that. I mean, there's a hatred there by both sides, and the fans are really into it. And of course, you know, you go to Atlanta, you know you're going to play. It's in a dome. You're not going to have rain and all that. A lot of times at Carolina has been rainy, cold. You know, it's a little further north. And Tampa's great because obviously the weather is usually pretty good, and it's a cool little stadium. You know, got the pirate ship in the end zone. That's kind of a neat touch. But I feel like the rivalry is, you know, clearly over the last 40 plus years has been Saints Falcons, and then next to that, there's more of a rivalry Saints Bucks. The Saints Carolina rivalry, yeah, when Cam Newton was there, of course, was a heated one, but it's third on the list for me.
Well, since the day the Saints were born in 67 or 8, whatever it was, they've always been a division with the Falcons. It used to be the NL West.
Right, with the 49ers in it, and the Rams.
So
right.
They've always had division games with the Falcons.
Even with, because Tampa Bay didn't come into the league till, the mid 70s. So there's always been the Falcons. I mean, there's no question that's the game you circle on the calendar for the Falcons and the Saints. And, they both had a reasonable amount of success. Now, the Saints did win a Super Bowl. Falcons blew a Super Bowl 28-3 to Brady. They love being reminded about that. So, but the Falcons have had other years when they had really good teams. And it's always big when they play the Saints. This year may not be as big.
We'll take a break. Sports Shorts presented by LeVare's Casino. We're at the Walk-Ons and Brusly. He's Tommy Krysan. I'm Ronnie Rantz. So you can check us out on Facebook 3 days a week on Sports Shorts Daily. It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. All you got to do is go on Facebook, follow us on Sports Shorts. It's the white circle with the red writing. Sports Shorts, give us a follow. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Sports Shorts, hosted by Ronnie Rantz. We'll take a break. Be back with more right after this. How about Nookies? Carl was saying, anyway, y'all can fix the mic from going in and out on YouTube. Carl, there's nothing I can do, brother, other than we're connected to the Walk-Ons Wi-Fi over here in Brusly, so we're maybe at a little bit of the mercy of them. And then but we did mute it last segment because we had to talk some other stuff. And Nookie says Carl wants to listen to Inside Scoop during the commercials. That's when they're honest about how they feel about Joel. We love us some Joel. That's funny. We already know how they feel about Joel. Carl says they already know how they feel about Joel. All right, so when we come back, TK is going to have us a pick. You got to give us the oldest dude on TikTok, your pick number one.
So anyway, the guy from Fox told me that all the casino companies are covered with huge buys.
Oh, yeah.
All the gambling people, like 6 figures for the annual buys.
Yeah.
Good time to be a salesperson.
Right. What was that, Kev? Well, they do have it, but who knows? Yeah. So Milwaukee Bucks, the Greek Freak purchases stake in the Brewers. Yeah.
So I love Milwaukee.
Doesn't say how much he bought.
I didn't see a number either.
New Jersey Nets open NBA's highest season win total. If everybody's healthy, they're expecting 54.5. That's a Caesar Sports one. Bucks are 53.5. So even though Milwaukee won the title, they're still picked to finish second in wins next year. Pelicans are 42.5. Write that down, 42.5 for the Pelicans. Let's see what their record was this year. How many wins they got. (31-41). 31-41. Welcome back, everyone. Sports Shorts presented by LeBear's Casino. Ronnie Rantz over here at Walk-Ons in Brusly. We'll be here until noon today over at LeBear's Casino Stadium Sports Bar. Good place to watch that NOLA matchup tonight. Aaron and Austin NOLA going at it, Phillies and Padres. But the oldest dude on TikTok, Tommy Krysan, for you gamblers out there, going to give you a free pick. Pick to click. We'll do the second hour. He'll give you a second one. But who do you like today? What kind of game are you looking at?
All right, I'm 10-5 in the last 15 baseball picks since the oldest dude on TikTok, including the White Sox on the run line last night. Hey, at this point in baseball, it's always about losing on the mound, and then it becomes which team is the game more important to try to become a playoff team. Now, I don't like betting big favorites. You can go broke on that. But tonight, the oldest dude on TikTok
Tells you to jump on the Cincinnati Reds -210. -210 because they got Wade Miley on the mound. Wade Miley's 10-4 with a 2.48 ERA through a no-hitter a couple of months ago, and playing the Miami Marlins, who are terrible. Okay, so it's a big number to lay, -210. But Cincinnati's going to win that game. And look, it's not because Wade Miley went to LaRonja High School in Southeastern. No, it's not. No, I've been bet. I bet on pitchers like Lance Lynn, Alcantara of Miami's a good one to bet on. It's all about the pitching. So I'm going with the Cincinnati Reds, who have more of a reason to win than Miami, and they got Wade Miley on the mound, the quickest worker in baseball on the stopwatch. That's a fact. I was a very quick worker, so that's why I'm going. So.
10 wins, 2 ERA under 3.
Yeah, 10
and a no-hitter on his resume this year. And he's a free agent, so it's going to get a nice little paycheck somewhere.
He's got a lot of hats in the collection.
Yeah, but I mean, like, isn't there also when you're making bets, isn't it also about value? I mean, is there value though when you got to lay 210 in a baseball game? I mean, that's the thing because Major League Baseball, nothing's a lock.
Right. I had Detroit the other day. They were up 10-2, Ronnie. I had Detroit up already.
To do a cartwheel, they lost 13-10. Yeah. 10-2 in the fifth inning. So no,
it's 10-2 in the fifth inning any day.
But it backfired the other day. So anyway, no, but you go broke betting on big favorites. But when I went through the card this morning, there's 2 really good bets that jumped out at me because of my criteria: the guy on the mound and who does the game most important to here in the latter part of August.
All right. Well, how about Joey Votto?
Boy, could hit. That was unbelievable surge that he had. We did a podcast about that on Talking Sports with TK. Rick Robinson and I did. So
he was literally hitting about 220, and then all of a sudden, flipped the switch and fell on fire.
Oh, yeah, it is on base percentage.
And the thing about Joey Votto, who plays for the Reds, I mean, just great personality, has a lot of fun. I mean, he's a great interview. I mean, he's what you want, man. He's a great ambassador of the game, plays it the right way, interacts with the fans.
The back pocket out. He doesn't put the hat back. He doesn't wear yellow shoes. I mean,
he does things the right way.
At least, that's what
yeah.
All right, so TK, you got to really believe in Tommy on this one. Minus 210 today. Take the Reds. Take Wade Miley, who I got to believe, regardless of what Tommy says, there's a little bit of lion in him. Wade Miley's signature is on the field at Southeastern. He gave some money for the turf. But in LaRonja High School, where his head coach was. I want to give full disclosure now for Tommy to say that there's not a little lean. I don't know about that. But hour 2, he's going to give you a second pick. He's got a second pick coming up. We'll do that at 11:15, and he'll tell you who he likes on that one. 10-5, huh? I was talking to a friend of the program's, Casey McKenzie, the other day, and he said he's changing his betting for the fall, and he's going to go all money line betting this fall. Like, he's betting money line only in the fall on football.
If I'm correct, I kind of swayed you on that
Yeah.
a couple years ago. And then the first half money line, the first half line can be a big spot when people like Alabama who get way up and then,
Shut it down. Yeah.
Kind of happens in the second half.
Just like that Oklahoma Tulane game in 2 weeks, the first half line there. I will bet that on Oklahoma. It'll be 13 or 14 points. So yeah, there's ways to do it. And again, I got a major announcement next week for those that like to gamble.
You're gonna announce it on the radio, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna save it for next Saturday on the radio. But you gonna be with us?
I'll be up via phone.
Okay.
I'll be up at NACS.
Well, I wanted, because you got the Hall of Fame stuff. So, but I'll do it when you're on.
So speaking of Hall of Fame, that's this Thursday, Friday, Saturday up in NACS.
Yeah, I shared one of y'all's posts.
And Glenn Dorsey is going into the Hall of Fame. Ricky Weeks, speaking of the Brewers, Ricky Weeks going into the Hall of Fame, and Marcus Colston, Courtney Blades Rogers. Courtney Blades went to Bel Air High School, pitched at Nichols, ended up at Southern Miss after she was the Southland Conference Pitcher of the Year at Nichols, and others. But with football season right around the corner, Glenn Dorsey from East Ascension High School, of course, who was teammates with Buzzy Heidel at EA, he took home like all the trophies in 07. All the defensive trophies that a defensive lineman could win. He won most decorated LSU defensive player ever because, of course, there's 1 million trophies now. But for your money, when you think back to the great LSU football players, the Warren Capones on defense, the Devin Whites, the Dr. Tommy Casanova, the Glenn Dorseys of the world, many, many others. Who's your number one, or is it clear cut for you?
Wow. Casanova, I was a little too young to fully understand how good Tommy Casanova.
3-time All-American, only 3-time All-American.
Cover Sports Illustrated.
Playboy All-American.
That's
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Need to cover Sports Illustrated. Casanova's got to be up there. Glenn Dorsey's got to be up there. I mean, Travis Falk had that 1 year. It was through the roof. Brady James had 1 year. But career has got to be Casanova, Dorsey, in my opinion.
I think it's almost like in baseball where I think segregation changes the numbers, right? Once you started letting African Americans play in the major leagues, it's almost like A, D, B, C kind of thing, So not to downplay Lou Gehrig or Babe Ruth or any of that, but once you started truly being the best players in the world, then it changes things. And back in the late 60s, early 70s, they were still slow. I mean, there were teams, that had African American players, but they were still the conversation of not too many, that kind of thing. And so I think it's almost like you have to say prior to 75, there's that athlete and those teams, versus post 75, who the best players are. And I would say Tommy Casanova, clearly on paper, 3-time first team All-American, never been done before or since. He's the guy in that first 75 years of LSU football. And then since, you probably have to go Glenn Dorsey. But I'll tell you what, I mean, Devin White, for me, might be the best, but Glenn Dorsey won a national championship that puts him over the hump.
Yeah.
Devin White was not on that 19 team.
Yeah. All right. I got a Ricky Weeks story for you. He scored in the Hall of Fame, right? Mm-hmm. Years ago, when he first got to Southern, Coach Kadar called me up and says, TK, and you can listen to TK. TK, anytime out in practice, you got to see this kid, Ricky Weeks. And Coach Kadar, love you to death. I'm not talking about Southern like that. Okay? And he kept telling me that. Finally, I did.
I drove out there. I leaned on the bubble. He took batting practice because Coach Kadar told me, this kid will play on a Tuesday night in July. What he meant was he was being all-star in the major league, which he ended up being. And I was leaning on the bubble, and the quickest hands, quickest bat speed I'd ever seen by far when he was a freshman at Southern, and of course the rest for himself. And Coach Kadar knew that as well.
What's funny is that, a guy like Ricky Weeks ends up at Southern.
Well, you know how that happened.
Well, tell the story.
Was it Dusty Baker had a friend that he had played minor league ball with, or was it Ralph Carr, Who was it?
I don't remember that part.
And they called Coach Cato and said, they got this kid, nobody's looking at him, and, you know, he could really play. And Coach Cato took him sight unseen because of the word of either Dusty Baker or Ralph Garr, guys he knew very well from professional baseball.
Well, the thing about it is that what surprised me is that a guy, you know, the first time I saw Ricky Weeks swing a baseball bat, it was pretty obvious to me that this guy's special. You know, his hands were the fastest hands I'd ever seen. Paul Molitor, for you all-time, you know, baseball greats who played in the 80s and 90s, Paul Molitor was a guy who played for the Brewers and Blue Jays and all, where the Twins, where he didn't move his hands. He didn't load, meaning like you traditionally see a guy load his hands up and back when he strides forward. Paul Molitor, when he didn't move, he just basically went from a steady, set position to just throwing his hands at the bat and making contact. Ricky Weeks was that same way, and that's hard to do when you don't load, get something going back to go forward. And when I saw Ricky Weeks the first time, like, you know, it was like, oh my goodness, like it's that obvious. So the fact that all these teams are missed it in Florida. I mean, you know, he's from Florida. It's not like, you know, he's from Idaho. He's from Florida, and all these colleges, right? All these colleges and pros and all that. A lot of these teams missed it, seeing, wow, that guy's special. I mean, obviously he could hit in high school. He's tremendous. I don't know. It's a great story that Southern ended up with him. And remember when Ricky Weeks' freshman year, they lost to LSU 4-3 in the 2001 regionals. Skip Burtman's last regionals at the box. Ricky Weeks was a freshman, and LSU won 4-3, survived and advanced.
I think Southern was the regional as Southern mixed on the Gettysburg. I think Weeks like pulled over muscle and Southern play. A lot of people thought they would
Had a chance to win that regional.
And Ricky played like the first game, and like pitch hit the second game. He wasn't 100% because you know he could have been in line on Coach Cato at the end of the game.
Yeah, well, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame induction class for the 2021 year is the next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Go to lasportshall.com. Lots of free events. There are some events, of course, that are a fundraiser for the Hall of Fame. The ceremony itself is unbelievable. If you can't attend, watch it on CST. It'll be carried live. That's the 28th, the red carpet arrival special at 6, and then we'll have the ceremony at 7. That is on CST, but hopefully you can come out there, support some of the legendary athletes. lasportshall.com. Click on the events tab. We've got fireworks. We've got concerts. Parish County Line's going to be playing on Friday night. A lot of fun. We'll take a break. Be back with more Sports Shorts presented by the Bears from Walk-Ons in Brusly, the home of Cornhole Mondays. Every other Monday, Cornhole League going on. Lots of people out here having a good time, especially with Monday Night Football just around the corner. I'm good right now. Thank you. Yeah. I'll tell you what, bring a menu, please. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Some more Diet Coke, please. Some ice in there. Thank you. Thank you.
Next week, also,
Yes.
maybe 2 hours.
Yes. No. No. the little guy is doing it, Mario Cherez. But you're just a guess hour 2. Joel will do hour 1 with him.
Hour 2.
Yeah, and then but on September the 4th, you'll be the point guy the whole time now, and I'll give you a little cheese. That'll be at the Calandros on Government Street. Ronnie Rantz, Tommy Krysan, over here at the Brusly Walk-Ons. There's a golf tournament going on. It's the first of the FedEx Cup finals here at the Liberty National Golf Club in Jersey City. I mean, this is all the big dogs, man. This is the real stuff. John Rahm in the lead, -12 after the first couple of days. Tony Finau is one of the big names, the stroke back. Xander Schauffele, the gold medalist at the Olympics, and Justin Thomas are 2 strokes back. So, I mean, it's a leaderboard with people you know, the best in the world. And, of course, they've got it, they're trying to win that $10 million.
15.
Oh, it's 15 up to now. Jeez, good Lord.
We should have played golf.
Shoot, man. I mean, unbelievable. But how about this? John Rahm, who's the #1 player in the world rankings, and I agree with that. I think, for the last year, he has been consistently the best player in the world. But he's only 5th in the FedEx standings because a lot of that takes into effect, how many tournaments you played in and your overall finishes. And remember, he was leading the U.S. Open and then had to pull by 6 strokes, had to pull out because of COVID. And so, he had to miss some tournaments because of it. So because of all that, the rankings in the FedEx Cup standings aren't as high as the overall world golf rankings. And he was very outspoken. And in fact, almost pissed about how the format is set up.
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing about golf rankings, there's no one on the planet that can explain it.
Right. Right.
I mean, like, I could get the top 25 golfers to sit here and walk over to Brusly and say, okay, what do you guys explain to me more? They have no answer. But with that being said, John Rahm is clearly the best golfer in the world at this point in time. Kind of like baseball. It's about what you got with me lately. I don't care what you did 2 years ago. In baseball, I don't care what you batted in the second week of June.
That don't matter. So it's all about right now. And John Rahm, his game is solid. I mean, it's all the people who are #1, all the greats. They can drive the ball. They got the short game. They can make the putts when they have to, which he has done over and over again. And tested positive and had to get out of that tournament when he had the big lead. He's won on this stage. He's very confident. He's a very confident guy. And he's got some bad body language sometimes when the ball bounces a little funny or he misses a putt he really thought he should have made. But that's just the competitor in him coming out. I mean, he is all of he's like Tiger Woods in the sense that he's not there to come in second.
Well, John Rahm said that. And I get it, right? He understands. What they're trying to do with the FedEx Cup is they're trying to make sure that last tournament means something. They want that last tournament eyeballs to be watching all the way to the last day. They don't want somebody to have wrapped up the championship 2 weeks earlier and doesn't even have to play in the last tournament or two to win the $15 million. So because of that, unfairly, they have made it so that no matter how good you are, no matter what you do, no matter how many tournaments you win, you still got to play well in that last weekend in order to win the 15 million. Right.
Tournaments where you barely make it, you still get to have the
Same shot as the guy who was out there cruising with the big shot lead, 4 or 5 shot lead. So it's really complicated. I think if they would get a little more simple, that would help the fans of golf. But everybody's turning to football right now, and then of course there'll be baseball playoffs around the corner. So golf, it is what it is. You're going to have some people watching it. They're trying to do what you said, Ronnie, get more eyeballs on it. I don't know if it's successful or not.
So John Rahm, he understands it. He was just complaining at a press conference. He said, quote, I don't like it. I understand the system. He said, and the way I was told by one of the PGA Tour officials is, he goes, this is John Rahm saying, I'm a Patriots fan, and the Patriots win everything to get to the Super Bowl. And they don't win the Super Bowl, you don't win the Lombardi Trophy, right? Meaning, like, yeah, you can have a great year, you can win everything, but if you don't really win that last tournament or you don't play well in that last tournament, you're not going to win the 15 million. And Rahm said, my answer was they still finished second. They have to understand that golf, is different. And then Rahm went on to say, I understand it's for TV purposes and excitement and just making it more of a winner take all, and they give you a 2-shot advantage, but over 4 days that can be gone in 2 holes. I don't know what system is best. I do like going to East Lake with the new one in the sense of knowing where you stand and what you have to do. In years prior, there were so many different combinations of what could happen. It was hard to get your head focused on one thing. But he said, I don't think it's a fair system, but, obviously it is what it is, and they'll deal with it. But, but I mean, I get it. I mean, it's really not, Tommy, a year-round award. I mean, it's FedEx Cup standings, but it's really, it's basically a $15 million final tournament at the end of the year. It's just kind of putting you in position for that last tournament of the year to kind of have to know what you got to do to win the money.
Well, there's probably a lot of golfers that agree with Ryan, and I agree with it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain it to you. So maybe the powers that be with the PGA Tour keep it simple, stupid, and try to make it more understandable. Everybody, especially the golfers, they deserve to know the system,
and they really don't. And I bet you there's a lot of people agree with Ryan, although they may not say it in the interview like he did. So we'll see what happens with that. I'll keep somewhat of an eye on that. I watched a little bit of the golf tournament. I guess it was yesterday. I watched a few holes just to check it out.
So a buddy of ours watching on Facebook, chiming in, Scott Lombardi, old teammate of LSU, a catcher who was part of that 93 national championship team, watching us over in Atlanta. Scott, for the record, is not a member of East Lake in Atlanta. Just in case you were wondering, he is not a member of East Lake Country Club. I don't think Scott really does. Scott's more of a rocker. He's more of a big music guy. Baseball fan. Right. Scott's old buddies with Crystal Ball back in the day. Yeah.
I saw Chris last night. Fantastic shows. He'd rather Scott would rather be with me watching Chris play golf with you.
100%. 100%. Yeah. But I will say this, that it just, the gripe that John Rahm has reminds me of this. If you're the Southland Conference, if your alma mater is Southeastern, or let's say you're down the road in the Sun Belt for UL with the Raging Cajuns, one of those mid-major, smaller conferences where it's a one-bid league, and you go 32-4, and you go undefeated in your regular season, Southland, Sun Belt, but you lose in the finals to an 8th seed, because it's a winner-take-all game, you don't get to go to the NCAA tournament. Now, that's not fair, because the team that represents that conference into the tournament should be the best team, the team that's been the best for 4 months.
The best team or the team that's playing.
But I mean, like I get it, but playing well for 4 days, I don't think is representative of a team that played well for 4 months. Well, absolutely. No, I know why they do it, and that goes back to my point, is that John Rahm has a legitimate complaint with the PGA that, hey, It's ridiculous that I play great all year, and it comes down to if I don't play great on that Sunday, I lose the money and I lose the cup. Well, it's the same with the NCAA. It's all for TV. It's all about driving interest until the very, very end, and it's not fair. All right, we'll take a break. Hour 2, Sports Shorts from Brusly Walk-Ons, presented by the Bears, next. Let's see, Carl Dunn saying something to think about. Albert, Joey Bell in the Hall of Fame had good numbers, but we all know why he never won an MVP. Yeah. He's not going to win.
He's not gonna do it.
There, order whatever you want.
You gonna eat?
But I gotta take off like when we're done. I gotta take off when we're done, so I'm not gonna like stick around. But get something in the second hour and eat it right at the very end.
Or fried chicken. Let me get up Brook Street that day. I'm a tag over the top of that shit.
Welcome back, everyone. Hour number 2 of Sports Shorts Radio. Tommy Krysan joining me alongside, well, no, not alongside anybody. No Joel, no Buzzy. They have the day off. Joel will be back with us next week. We're over here at the Brusly Walk-Ons. We're about to get, I'm telling you, Walk-Ons in general has the best fried shrimp of all the, seafood chains and things around the country. I mean, I'm like Bubba Gump when it comes to shrimp, like, Forrest Gump rather. I mean, I love shrimp every kind of way. They do it right over at Walk-Ons, man. The shrimp are just absolutely perfect every time. The fried shrimp, absolutely. Make sure you get it. This end of the week coming up, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll have the press conference for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame induction on Thursday, 3 to 5 live on CST. And then on Saturday, we'll have the VIP arrival special from 6 to 7 Victor Howell will be hosting that, kind of pinch hitting for Lynn Rollins, who Lynn will be doing a game for an LSU game or something that day. But Victor Howell will be on the red carpet arrival, and then he'll also be filling in on Lynn's role on stage alongside Teddy Allen, which the ceremony begins at 7. All of that coverage on CST Live this coming Saturday, the 28th of August, the 2021 Hall of Fame induction class from 6 all the way to about 9:30. 3.5 hours of great coverage of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Don't want to miss it.
Hey, don't forget about Coach Street Cafe in Port Allen. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 6 days a week, closed on Sundays. Connect with them on Facebook and Instagram. If you haven't done so already, do it today. Coach Street Cafe, Facebook, Instagram, lunch specials, dinner specials, steak night on Thursday night. Lots of things going on at Court Street Cafe. The Sports Shorts Daily is now Wednesdays, 9 a.m. We're at Court Street Cafe, 805 Court Street. Port Allen, come over to Center, beer in the right 2 minutes. You're going to be in the parking lot at Court Street Cafe. They got a little bar in the back if you want to get a beverage or something to finish up the day. Court Street Cafe. Jason and the staff do a super job. And stop by next Wednesday and have a little breakfast with me or hang around for lunch. 4th Street Cafe, Facebook and Instagram in Port Allen. And don't forget my podcast, Talking Sports with TK, available on all your major platforms, including iHeartRadio, which we're on right now. Just search for Talking Sports with TK. I have an LSU football update for you tomorrow evening. And Trey Blossman and I will have an episode of Sports Takes on Tuesday, which will follow the LSU scrimmage and the Saints game. Talking Sports with TK. Check out that podcast, available on all your major platforms, or connect with me on social media, and I'll make sure you get a link.
So Oregon and Oregon State have become the first 2 schools in the Power 5, conferences at the moment. I mean, this will be more that they're going to require vaccination cards or COVID tests, just like the mayor in New Orleans did to anyone 12 and over. In order to get into the stadium, you have to show either a negative test in the last 3 days, or you got to be able to show that vaccination card. That is coming up. That is something that's Oregon and Oregon State are doing. I would think, Tommy, that if you've got those 2 colleges doing it, other colleges are taking notice. You got, obviously the city of New Orleans is doing it. I would imagine some others, pro franchises are doing it as well. I think it's going to be a matter of time before a number of schools take on that. We're still a couple of weeks away from football starting.
Well, a lot of what we see, what we do there, one doesn't tend to see it happen in other places. Just, hey, that's the world we live in now. You got to check with your favorite school or your favorite team before you head out to the stadium this fall, whether it's high school, college, obviously the Senate, the NFL. Just check with those people to find out what you're going to have to do to be able to get into the game that you want to go to. So that's all part of it. I mean, and we talked yesterday on Sports Shorts Daily. Big announcement coming this week, from the Big 12, the Pac-12, Big 10, the ACC. Some type of an allegiance. We don't have any details. They've been very quiet on the details, but something's coming out about scheduling, or we're trying to counter the fact that Oklahoma and Texas are rolling into the SEC in the near future. We don't have a date on that. So lots of stuff happened off the field, but the good thing is, starting next Saturday, we're going to get some football on the field.
You're not going to UCLA, but I gotta believe. I mean, I feel it, right? I'm going to be out there in Los Angeles for that game, and it's a little bit of a punch in the gut to know that you're going to at least be required to wear masks walking in the stadium. I imagine once you sit down, it's going to probably be hard for them to police, 50,000+ people at the game. But I mean, I don't know if they're going to try to, hey, you, row 10, pointing at you, yelling at you, put your mask on, But a lot less people. And literally, they were doing that when there was like 1,500 people in the stands, 3,000 people in the stands. I don't know that you can do it if you got 50, 100,000 people in the stadium. But and we'll see. We'll see. We're going to find out Monday night, the Saints game preseason. There won't be 72,000 for a preseason game, but there'll probably be 40,000 people there at that game. how will they be trying to police people with masks with 40,000 people in the stands? I'll be curious to see. But that said, it's a punch in the gut to think I might have to sit in the Rose Bowl stadium with a mask on.
I agree with that. You know, people that are vaccinated say, "Well, I got to wear a mask. I'm vaccinated." Well, I don't know. And if somebody smarter than me to make those decisions.
Would you, would it affect you? I think it's going to affect people whether they go or not. Would it affect you?
Well, I would think most people have already made their travel arrangements. So, I wanted to go to a game. Rules required to go to the game.
I think that's what I would do. Or I'd, have a home gating party or go to a friend's house and watch the game or come to Walk-Ons here in Brusly. I mean, you can find a place to watch the game if you don't want to go. Now, LA, that's a little bit different than going up to Starkville or Oxford or Tuscaloosa or, even over to Arkansas or A&M. So it's a different trip altogether. You can't get in the car and get there in one day like you can, to some of those other places. So, if you want to go to the game, you got to follow the rules.
Did you make a bet on LSU for wins in the season?
Yeah, I'm over 8.5.
But you got 8.5.
That was actually 5-6 weeks ago. I'm going over 8.5. It was before it went to 9. Yeah, this was like in July. So, they got it. I know they can win 9 games. But if they beat UCLA, I'm pretty sure they're going to win at least 9. And I think they're going to beat UCLA, so therefore I locked the bet in.
Who do you think is going to be a surprise in the SEC?
Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think that's kind of.
If they figure out defense a little bit, they keep people under 30, they'll score 40.
It's going to be a big yes.
Well, they might have to score 50 if they allow 40. But Lane Kiffin's not dumb. He knows they got to match up the defense a little bit. They're going to try to do that because he's not going to take the air out of the ball, the clock. I mean, he's not going to, run the ball to keep his defense off the field, which sometimes you do that if your defense is a little suspect. But that's not how Lane Kiffin coaches football. So I think they'll be the surprise. I think the other surprise thing in the SEC is A&M's not going to be a good team. The new quarterback syndrome.
I believe that. I would always take a veteran quarterback. And what I mean by veteran quarterback doesn't even have to be necessarily somebody who's great the year before, just somebody who's been through the fire, been through the schedule, been through the season. I'll take a guy who's got experience and had some success versus a guy who has never taken a snap in the league. I mean, there's something to be said for that. I think those guys get better at that position the more and more experience they get.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit curious about Arkansas. It got a little bit
Better, bad for a long time, and Sam Pittman gets in there, and he got him a little bit better. Now, can he keep that going? But I think LSU's going to be in the hunt. I really do.
He's Tommy. I'm Ronnie. We'll take a break. We're back with more Sports Shorts Radio from Brusly Walk-Ons right after this. Sorry, guys, on that last segment. I think I had the mute screen. What, say that again? Okay. Six three Philly.
That's where Ben Simmons went that Monteverdi Academy.
Gotcha.
That Simmons game was there. Yeah. Monteverdi was 24-1. I just shared your Hall of Fame thing.
What's that?
Sharing your Hall of Fame thing. Put it on the Pelican page for you.
Either. Send me the link. Are we, is everything good, Cal, when it comes to hoops? Any preseason, anything for discussion about where they're going to be ranked?
Basketball. Yeah.
Ronnie Rantz here with you. Sports Shorts presented by the Bears Casino over here at the Brusly Walk-Ons. Ronnie Rantz and TK. All right, TK, oldest dude on TikTok, hour number one. You gave the pick, the Cincinnati Reds, minus 210 today over the Marlins. You like Wade Miley in that pitching matchup. You also had another game you like today for the gamblers out there. Give them their winner.
You're really going to get all the way out. You know, it's all about the pitcher. The Reds take Philadelphia. Plus $1.30 in San Diego. We all know that Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola's due for a good outing. He's kind of been, you know, all or nothing this year. He has a great outing.
He really has.
It's banging around a little bit. He's 7-7. I got his numbers here somewhere. He's averaging 7-7, 4.48 ERA. He punched out 163 and 134 2/3 inning. Look for
Nola to be fired up because his brother's in the other dugout. Aaron Nola plus $1.30 on the Phillies in San Diego tonight. So it's all about who's on the mound, and I'm going with Wade Miley and Aaron Nola, a couple of Louisiana boys.
Yeah, Nola.
BaseballReference.com. But anyway, so We'll see what happens. But he's been up. I've watched him throw a lot this year. You know, I got the baseball package, as most people can probably figure. But you know, I think he's going to have a good outing. Maybe Austin gets a hit or not, but I think, you know, they're an underdog. You know, the game's in San Diego, but I'm going to take plus $1.30 to take my chances on Aaron Nola and the Philadelphia Phillies, who have been playing pretty good.
What is it about NOLA this year, Tommy, that you watched? Because, I mean, it's crazy how he, as you mentioned, so far this year, he's worked 134 innings, 134 and 2/3 innings. And
it's one of the oldest things in pitching. It's a get the count. He's successful.
Opponents are hit 242 against him, which, you know, traditionally as a starting pitcher, you want that BA against to be sub 250. So it is. It's a little high, but it's, I mean, last year, opponents only hit 205 against them. In 2018, opponents hit 197 against them. So 242 is a high for him.
He throws a lot of strikes. Okay? Like any pitcher, if you're ahead in the count, your chances of getting the guy out real tough. Behind in the count, it's going to be tough. He throws the ball over the plate. Hitters on the other team don't have nothing to do with that. And they go up there picking pitches to this guy. Very good breaking ball. But actually change up. You run the fastball up there down to 293. So he's very smart pitcher. So that's what you get out of Aaron Nola. This year, it's all or nothing.
You know, he's either getting racked around a little bit or he's mowing people down.
Aaron Nola's last outing came on August the 15th. He was 4 third innings. He had 6 hits, 4 earned runs, had 3 walks, 4, which is a lot for him, and that amount of, and 4 strikeouts. Just to give you an idea, Aaron Nola only has 31 walks this year in 134 and 2/3 innings to go along with 163 strikeouts. So for him to have 3 walks and 4 1/3 is not good. The outing before that on August the 10th, he had a good one. He went 4 innings. He only gave up 1 hit, no runs. Before that, though, 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned.
You follow the trend today. He's due for a good outing. You know, again, I study all this stuff. Right? I don't believe that. I do follow all this stuff. And he's due for a good outing.
You believe in the do factor.
I do.
See, that's like at the Bears when the blackjack table. If you're like, well, you know, I've lost 5 hands in a row, so therefore I'm due to win. So now I'm going to put up the big bet. I don't know about that system.
It's why they call it gambling. You might win, you might lose. I mean, I got 3 possibilities for the 2 picks. I got 2-0, 1-1, 0-2. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about it Monday morning on Sports Shorts Daily. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sports Shorts Daily. Live on Facebook, live on YouTube. We share it around on social media stuff. We have a lot of fun with it. We appreciate all the support that we get.
If you're in NOLA, you've already got the big contract, you're multi-gazillionaire. Do you tell little brother, look, I'm going to give you 1 fastball. You throw fastball on the first pitch, I'll give you 1.
I don't think you do.
Okay.
I did.
What's that story?
You want to hear that?
Yeah.
We played at Nichols. I was senior. That's senior. Little league or little basketball. We played at Nichols. Our staff only crossed. Lou needed a wonderful double to break the career record for doubles at Nichols.
We're both terrible teams, a couple games under 500. So I tell Lou before the game, I said, all right, how many times I'm starting? I said, how many times I throw to you that you'll get a fastball first pitch? After that, I guarantee you nothing. Well, the first time he came up, I gutted him a fastball. He looked back out of the mind. He didn't really believe me. He didn't think I'd really do that. Well, the next time he came up, he ripped one of the guys, Ronnie. Ronnie, I'm here to tell you, if you had 2 pulled hamstrings, you'd have had a triple. He dropped anchor on second so he could, get the record. Anybody else would have been rolling into third. But he dropped anchor on second, so.
That happened. I was in the Cape Cod League, and Adrian Anthony, the former LSU catcher, he was the star catcher of the '93 national championship team. Adrian was catching for Orleans. Harry Barrios and Mike Neal were playing for the Chatham A's, It was late in the game. It might have been the 9th inning. And, of course, the last thing you want to play in summer ball is extra innings. And Adrian said fastball away. And the guy in the bump was the former first-round pick, Kelly Wunsch of the A&M, pitched to the big leagues with the White Sox, became a reliever, sidearm lefty. That's what he submarine lefty became. And Kelly was dealing. He was 90-92 that night with a hammer breaking ball and was just on his game with the wood bat in college. I mean, he was dominating. And Adrian said fastball away. And Harry Barrows hit a triple off the center field wall 400 feet away. And we ended up, scoring the run and winning. And the umpire was so beside himself, he told the manager of Orleans in the parking lot after the game, "Hey, your guy told that hitter, and then Orleans got rid of Adrian, and then he ended up getting picked up by Brewster playing with Todd Walker. And Brewster, they got mad at Adrian. So I'm familiar with that. By the way, some college basketball news to pass on to you. LSU, of course, this week picked up a commitment. They signed their last roster spot that they had.
Justice Williams.
Yeah, Justice Williams, the 6'3", 4-star player out of Philadelphia, played at Mount Verde Academy in Florida, where Ben Simmons played. He takes that final spot. I know we're talking a lot about Kim Mulkey and LSU women's basketball, but Will Wade having a heck of an offseason, particularly getting Day to come back out of the draft.
Yeah, this is one of those COVID schools. He was playing up in Philadelphia, and the season got short-circuited by COVID. He goes to Mount Verde Academy. There was a question about what senior class he was in. All of that has been ironed out, and that is going to be an LSU title. You're right. Will Wade continues to give uniforms to really good basketball players. We'll see how that transfers to the court.
Also, Buzz Williams over there at Texas A&M in a little bit of a pickle. He's going to be suspended for a couple of games for violations and all that. Who's the AD at LSU?
LSU would be Scott Wilson.
Who was the AD at A&M who hired
Scott Wilson.
Yeah, and basketball coaches at both schools in a little bit of hot water or dark cloud around them, a lot of suspicion around them. Interesting. Listen,
We'll see how it plays out.
not that really anybody cares. Not that anybody that's listening to this show or walking around that's a fan of LSU or a fan of college basketball really cares whether there's cheating or ooginess or, NIL before NIL gifts going their way. Like, nobody really cares. It's so hypocritical because, LSU or any institution, any big-time college Power 5 conference has to put on this face. We're above board. We're following the rules. And who cares? And look, the NCAA, I think, is getting to a point. I mean, all these investigations, I think, are going extending. And, nobody, they don't want to get in this business. They don't want to get involved, especially now that it's okay to pay players. Hey, I can tweet out, eat at Brusly Walk-Ons, and if Brusly Walk-Ons wants to pay me $1 million, they can. That's okay. So now the NCAA is probably saying, guys, how do we want to go dig up old dirt from years ago, goofy violations when all they got to do now is go through an app on your phone and pay a guy $1 million to tweet out something.
I think the NCAA and all the professional schools realize exactly what you just said. Nobody really cares. Turn it off. They want to know if they can pitch the doctor and win. Right.
As long as he doesn't get arrested, and it's not right.
But no, they've learned over time. How many college programs back in the 80s and 90s would have said, look, I just want to win a national championship. If we get probation 3 years later, so what?
I'll tell you what people do care about, though, clearly. They care about radio or TV baseball analysts saying, making fun of Ohtani's.
He did not attempt to make fun of Ohtani. He was trying to make fun.
Well, right. Listen, we have all done. I mean, how many impersonations have I done over 20 plus years on the radio or on TV? Right, making fun, having fun, impersonating the way someone talks. I mean, I guarantee you, if we start digging up old baseball games, how many times have someone impersonated a foreign, an Australian accent or a Latin accent or whatever? And now, you know, Jack Morris has to go to sensitivity training because of what he said in a broadcast in an Asian accent, at a quick line, very, very carefully. And now he's suspended indefinitely, sensitivity training, and everybody's okay with it. Like, everybody's okay with it. Like, there's not, oh, that was so terrible what he did. And they're on national TV lambasting him all on their high horse pontificating. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Hey, Jack, you made a little mistake. Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. What happened again?
By the way, it wouldn't have been a mistake 10 years ago. It wouldn't have been a mistake 7 years ago, but it's a mistake now. And you know, it's funny, as I watched, there's a Netflix documentary, Tommy. You got to watch Malice at the Palace, the fight between the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers back in 2004 or 5, whatever it was. The national media coverage of that fight, because they show it in this 1-hour documentary on Netflix, which I'm telling you, watch this documentary. It's great. The national media, the things that they're saying, all those people would be fired today because of, you know, the terms thug and hoodlum and all this stuff. I'm talking about ESPN, NBC, CBS, ABC News, you name it. All those people in their description of those players and of that fight and of the NBA in general, just 15 years ago, which was okay at 5:30 Central Time national news, all those people would be fired today. And the same thing with the Jack Morris thing, 6, 7, 8 years ago, no problem. That'd have been laughed at, funny, haha. Now it's, oh my gosh, the greatest pitcher in Detroit history. You're done. You're banished for your accent impersonation.
How did we get to that? And it's across such a baseball, it's society too. But we can keep it in the sports world here.
Nookie said Joel Davis would have been burned at the stake for controversial impressions. Probably so. We all would have, Nookie. That's crazy.
See, we're immune to it now. It used to be when you saw that back when we used to read the real, like, printed newspaper, right? It'd be a story or something, did something. Whoa! Hey, behind like that. Now, you know, that's just, everybody's become immune to all this stuff. You say it all day. Many of the sports personalities lost their jobs, well-paid jobs, careers. When I think of Jack Morris, he wasn't trying to embed Shohei Ohtani, who came out and said he wasn't offended at all, by the way. But he wasn't trying to do that when he did what he did. Let's get sports back on the field, on the court, on the baseball diamond. Somehow this technology is happening where we can get back to just sports in the game. But sports now is too much about everything except the game.
He's Tommy. I'm Ronnie. We'll be back with more walk-ons in Brusly. Sports Shorts final segment next.